Hi there, just before we start the video, I'd just like to remind you that I have an email subscription list. You can find the URL for the list in the description for this video, or you can find it on my websites, russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com, or onlydeathcansavus.com. That's the name of the book, Only Death Can Save Us. I won't be filling your inbox up. It'll just be short bits of information about the book or things that are going on the channel. The book is a cosmic Bronze Age inspired journey. That's art and story. So if you like the way comics used to be, hopefully you'll really like this book. So that's it for now. Let's get on with the video.
Hi there and welcome back to the dojo. I'm Russ Leach, I am the comic book black belt, and this is a kind of a comeback video. I've been away from YouTube for about a week and a half or so, maybe 2 weeks. And in my last video, I basically said, yeah, I'm fine, I'm back, I'm training, and I'm back on the YouTube train. But unfortunately, the lurgy came back and struck me down, and barely all I could do was continue working for my clients, let alone put up more videos. So it appears that I am now back. My voice is still a bit croaky, but I'm back on the horse. And hopefully this is the real thing. It's a proper recovery. And I can start reproducing videos again, detailing my work and my passions, as well as being able to service my clients. So I'm really pleased to come back and have a video. Some other stuff has been going on, things like copper, and other bits and pieces. And I've had a good look at a lot of the reaction about copper, and I was considering making the videos. This is one of such videos. It's a Ben 10 artwork video. I was considering making all the Ben 10 videos child friendly, tagging them as child friendly, but it really does appear to me that, you know, I'm safely within the general audience, that the work that I produce, even though I have a thumbnail that may be attractive to kids, the videos that I produce are without doubt adult videos, talking to other professionals and other artists who are keen on looking into how to produce comic strip work and other illustrations. And so as far as I'm concerned, this is definitely not for kids, and I am not for kids channel. And I've effectively, you know, fairly using the bright coloured characters that I do on a professional basis. So that's good, which means that all the comments on these videos are to remain open in the new year. As I mentioned, this is a Ben 10 video. It's from issue 12, so it's the penultimate edition of the run of comics that I produced, and also the penultimate video of this series. So let's get straight into it and start running where I got to. Right, okay. First page. You know, as I've been going through, I've been showing you the basics. So, you know, how I put sketches together and the pencils together. And something that you'll see throughout some of these pages is, you know, reuse of work that I've done in previous issues to make my production that much quicker. Also, you'll see the ratification of all my layer process. So I've just got into a situation where I've got used to producing the pages, used to producing the stories, and it's become a much slicker process all over. And I'll just dig in here and whip through some of the background layers so that you can see, you know, as I turn them on and off, you can just see how I've built up the background and then produced it and folded it all into the one group, so I can switch that on and off and then provide a single layer for lighting effects over the top of it. You can see how I separate that out with just pulling the colours of the characters out. Go on to the next page. And again, sketch work. I tend not to do while I'm working in Photoshop. I tend not to do thumbnails, because the way that Photoshop, the way the digital process works, is that you know, I don't have to. In the old days, when I used to produce comic pages in a traditional way, I would do little thumbnails like a lot of people do, and then I'd photocopy them up to a size, so I had an idea of the original proportions that I ran through. But of course you don't need to do that in a digital process, because you can zoom in and out. So what I tend to do is I zoom out a small page in front of me, and I flick in with a fat pencil or a fat brush the thumbnail, and that way I can just zoom in and then add the detail, and that way it comes back to almost like a Draw the Marvel way kind of work, the way John Buscema and Stan Lee presented it, as you just keep on drawing over the layers. The difference being, in the real world you don't have layers, you just have a sketch that you get closer into, neaten up, and then finally put your inks over the top. And that's pretty much the way my process works, except that all those sketches and that addendum in the sketching process is often mirrored in the digital process by me using a layer, and then maybe tracing over that layer as I get the form and the art that I want to see in the final product. Again, you can see in this splitting background layers up, and then in the foreground putting effects layers over the top, so for strike lines, movement, that kind of stuff. I think also something else you can see in a lot of these pages, I've become I've done a lot more of the painted backgrounds as well. We start off on this next page and go through the pencils and the inks before I start getting into the colours. Again, with the inks that I mentioned on a previous video, started to do different coloured inks, and my inks aren't all background, aren't all blacks. I've used them and then incorporated those into the backgrounds, into the painted backgrounds, which I did a lot more of. So I've created a lot more things from scratch than I had been doing, but at the same time incorporated a huge amount of ready-made background stuff, ready-made background art from the show as well. And I think at the end of the day, and I've mentioned this before in other videos, I think I really did, but especially by the end of the process, nail the look of the show. So the whole idea for me as a comic book artist and as a designer and as a creative was to take the form and the feel of the show and reproduce that form and feel on the comic book page, so that anybody who had been watching the show wouldn't then go to the comic book and go, oh, this doesn't feel right. It would just be completely seamless. So obviously I had a style guide that I've mentioned before, a style guide from Cartoon Network to work with this, but also I wanted to go beyond that style guide and provide, you know, proper sequential art, telling stories, but in the style of, so it wasn't just literally, you know, getting Ben's face right or an alien right. It was also very much the case that I wanted the flow and feel of each panel from one to the next to reflect the show and the pacing of the show. And I think pretty much I did that. I was very pleased with the outcome. This was the penultimate, as I mentioned, the penultimate issue, and I'm very pleased with the way it came out. The villain is great to draw. There's lots of effects, as I was mentioning earlier, about doing more and more of my own painted stuff, as well as using the original work from the show. It gave me this opportunity to do some to use some different techniques and to add to the whole process. So here we go. We're on page 6. Got the guys crawling around at the top on the floor, and then being spotted and by Hex, and pretty straightforward. When you break a lot of these panels down, they look very simple, and indeed obviously the art compared to a lot of the artwork I produce in my standard style is very simple. There's a lot of basic line work, not a lot of shading. The shading is done in the color process. But when you add it all together, it actually becomes quite a complex ensemble of shapes and action and line work, and it flows really well. I think I'm really pleased with the way this came out. Really honoured to be able to add something like Ben 10 and just working with Cartoon Network to my CV, to my portfolio. Again, these effects, I mean, I'm mixing up Kirby Crackle with Ben 10 animation techniques, and it's great. It's like it's more than the sum of its parts. Came out so well. So yeah, really pleased to have worked on the project, and honoured to be, you know, to be in that same zone as these guys, as Cartoon Network and Ben 10, and thoroughly enjoyed the whole experience, and obviously the publisher as well, Panini, treated me very well, and had a great time with them, and I still work with them on and off. Do some Doctor Who with them, and the occasional bits and pieces for other magazines, in contact with them quite a lot, and obviously the whole Draw the Marvel Way run as well. They were the production end of the Hachette and Marvel publication process. So onto the last page. The thing I did here, again, you can see that there was some reuse of old artwork. Again, that's my artwork, I did it. You know, it's not cheating or anything like that. It's my art, and I bought those, as I mentioned in a previous video, bringing those through and reusing either the complete artwork or just the pencils or the inks of how you'd produce something. It just made the process quicker, and that was what was really important, because obviously you have to meet a deadline. I think the technique that I was most happy with in this is turning the statue of Hex into a statue. I effectively drew him up and coloured him in exactly the same way as I would normally do, and then took the whole figure out, turned it into a grayscale, and brought it back in, and it gave it that look of being like a stone statue. And then you can see I'm flicking on and off there, and then I added once again over the top a warm shading, a warm lighting technique, which brought it into the rest of the artwork. So I was really pleased with the way that final page turned out, and really pleased with the whole book and the whole run. As I said, this is 12 of 13. There's one more to go, which I'll put up soon. I'll be back with some more videos very soon. Actually, I've got Earthworm Jim is in the post, and that will be on its way, so I'll be reviewing that. I'd like to do a Cyberfrog review, and also I got Downcast as well. These are obviously somebody would say, there are people that will say, oh my god, those are all Comicsgate books. They just happen to be Comicsgate books. I've got some other reviews that I want to produce as well. You know, disclaimers, same disclaimers I'll put on the front of the reviews. I'm not Comicsgate, I'm not anti-Comicsgate. I am 100% comics. If I like the look of a comic, I'll buy it and I'll review it. The one thing I will say in my disclaimer is that I'm incredibly shallow. I do thoroughly enjoy comic book stories, and I will read them, but I'm definitely taken by the artwork as the first thing I see. I'm pretty much like that with movies as well. I just love the whole visual aspect of them, of films and comics and what have you. So it's definitely the artwork that attracts me. So for instance, something like Earthworm Jim or the Bigfoot Bill I bought as well. Nothing like my artwork at all. Although it has to be said, this Ben 10 work that I produced, that was nothing like my artwork, and I was prepared to experiment and do something different. And from a professional perspective, I was given the opportunity to do a job, and I did it to the best of my ability. But other art styles, other comic book styles, I'm incredibly interested in, especially if it's something I know I could never touch. I could never go anywhere near that kind of style. And Doug TeNapel style is really fun, and I really enjoyed the book. I wasn't so sure about the story, but it was engaging enough. It was okay. but I actually there's a Bigfoot Bill review on my channel. But once again, the disclaimer is I don't give a monkeys about all the about all the rowing between people. I'm really not interested in that kind of negativity. If I like a book, I like a book. If I like the art, I like the art, and I'll review it and tell you what I think. So that's coming up, and a couple of other bits and pieces. I've obviously got another the final issue of Ben 10 to put through, and then I've got some more Only Death Can Save Us artwork. I've got a colour preview coming, the first 8 pages, early next year. That will be for everyone to see. I'll put it up as a video, and I'll also put it up on the Only Death Can Save Us website, so that everybody can see the preview and see what is in store. So that's about it for this video. Thank you so much to those people that are subscribed while I've been away, because I know that the algorithm is not kind to people who don't put up videos at least sort of a few times a week. And I'm trying in a normal schedule to get 2 videos up a week. And people have subscribed. I have a suspicion it's where that I've been able to go on to Marsh's panels, onto his live streams. And thank you very much. If you've seen me there and come over, thank you for subscribing. For those people who subscribed on BitChute as well, thank you so much for subscribing. Once again, I'll repeat myself as I do in every video. It really is very humbling to have people hit the subscribe button, watch the videos I produce, and be interested in the artwork that I come up with, and any opinion that I may come up with. And if it's of any help, that's a real bonus. If it's of any help to any artists out there, professional or otherwise, it's a huge bonus. So thanks once again for watching. Remember, I will have put a video up at the start. I'll put a preview up at the start. Go hit my email list. You can go via russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com, onlydeathcansaveus.com, and sign up for the email list. And in the new year, I'll be able to start using that list to tell people what's going on with the book and what's going on with the channel. I won't be flooding your inbox with rubbish. It won't be spam. You can check me out on Instagram and on Twitter and Facebook and places like that. And that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being with me in the dojo again today, and I'll be back with a video real soon. Bye bye. Thanks for watching Comic Book Black Belt. If you've enjoyed the content from this video, please like, share or subscribe, and come over and follow me on Twitter. It's been great having you in the dojo. See you again soon.